When we talk about smart surveillance cameras, names like Nest or Ring usually pops up. Eufy is part of Anker Innovations, and to be honest, much like Nest or Ring, it's a pretty well known name. It's by no means a budget brand, they do focus on premium products, so when they asked me if I want to review the Solocam S40 with its integrated solar panel, I said yes, because I had to try out this smart security camera that records in 2K, has a built-in spotlight. It can theoretically run off the solar panel without the need to ever be plugged in, and there's no monthly subscription. If you're interested, keep watching. Here's the box for the Eufy Solocam S40. It's by Anker, as I said earlier. Let's get this thing open. The first thing inside the box is the Solocam S40 itself, but let's put that aside for the moment to see what else is in the box. Here we have another box. Inside this one you'll see the wall mount. It's got a ball joint, so you'll be able to adjust the angle of the camera. Next there's a pack of screws and wall plugs or anchors. You've also got USB-A to USB-C charging cable. Well done, that's exactly what I wanted to see. USB-C and not micro USB. Digging further into the box, we have the camera mounting screw positioning map. Don't lose this, as you'll need it if you plan to mount this to anything other than wood. You've got a welcome card with all of the contact information, a video surveillance sticker which you legally have to place in the area in some countries, so make sure to check what your laws are in your jurisdiction. Lastly, you have the quick start guide, which will help you get started if you're stuck. Let's get back to the camera. This camera feels well constructed. It's an odd shape for a camera, but it looks very nice. It weighs 509 grams and measures in at roughly 127 by 89 by 64 millimeters. Firstly, what's very apparent and noticeable here is the integrated solar panel here on the top. It isn't shiny like a typical solar panel. Instead, it's matte and actually looks really good. Eufy states that 2 hours of direct sunlight is enough to continually power the device. Obviously, you can charge it via the USB-C port on the back as well. But the main selling point or differentiating factor on the S40 is of course the solar panel. We'll see how well that performs later on. Taking into consideration it is November here in the UK and we get less sunlight around this time of the year, it should be interesting to see how well that works. Also on the back you have the mounting hole and the sync button. On the bottom side is the speaker, and on the front you have the microphone for two-way communication. On the front you also have the photosensitive sensor, motion sensor, LED indicator, and finally the most important of all, the camera lens. Let's get this thing set up. Download and install the Eufy security app and sign up for an account. Open the app and tap add device. Scroll through the available devices and tap on Solocam Solar. Allow location permission. As with most, or in my experience all smart devices, you'll only be able to connect this camera to a 2.5 GHz Wi-Fi network. Anything else won't even be visible on the app. Enter your Wi-Fi password, then press next. Press and hold the sync button for 2 seconds until you hear a beep and the LED is flashing blue. Tap on heard a beep. It will now generate a QR code for you to scan, so tap OK. Now just point the Solocam towards the QR code and it should scan it. It will now connect to the Wi-Fi network.
Connecting to the Wi-Fi network. Please wait.
Tap next and give it a few seconds to do its thing. Tap next and select where you plan to mount the camera. In my case it will be the backyard, or as we say here in the UK, the garden. Then tap next. It will now give you 3 options. I'm going to choose optimal surveillance, but choose what you want and tap next. It does suggest that you fully charge the camera before mounting. I will do that later, but for now I'll keep pressing next to go through the guidance to complete the setup and show you what the process looks like. It shows you your Wi-Fi signal strength, which should be pretty handy when you're mounting the camera. You can see the footage from the camera, so we're nearly done. Tap next. If you get a prompt to update the firmware, I suggest you tap update and let that run. It shows 14 minutes, but don't worry, I'll speed it up here. As you can see on the timer, it took literally 7 minutes, so the update was much quicker than initially indicated. Tap next. It will ask you if you're having issues with notifications. I don't believe I've got any issues, so I'm going to tap no such issue. And that's it, it's now ready to mount. If I tap on the backyard camera, it should now bring up the camera feed. Setting it up was a breeze, super easy, so let's move on to the specifications of the Solocam S40. The Solocam S40 records in 2K, it's got a 130-degree field of view, there's a 600 lumen spotlight, there's a built-in battery with a capacity of 13,400 mAh. Battery life is stated around 4 months, but of course it will vary depending on how much you use the camera or how often video is being recorded. It's obviously got a solar panel which theoretically should give you unlimited power, but I'll talk about that later on in the review. There's two-way communication, a 90 decibel siren alarm, 8 GB of internal storage. It's not expandable, so no microSD card support or anything like that, which is a shame, but since it only stores motion detection footage at a max 120 seconds a clip, I don't see it running out of space quickly. You're not forced into paying a monthly subscription for cloud storage, which is something many will appreciate. It's got human and face detection, so hopefully motion detection shouldn't be triggered by my neighbor's cat. It supports smart home integration, so it should work with the likes of Alexa or Google Chromecast enabled devices. The camera is IP67 weatherproof, which is a given considering this is designed to be mounted outdoors, so no worries there. All the other specifications are up on the screen, so feel free to pause and read through that if you like. Now, with that out of the way, let's get this thing mounted. Apologies for the messy garden. It's usually like this during this time of the year when no one really sits out here. The fact that this camera is completely wire-free makes it very easy to mount wherever you want. It's just really flexible that way. Not having to worry about whether or not the charging cable is long enough and not having to route cables around the house is definitely a breath of fresh air. So I'm not going to be using the supplied pack of screws. They're a bit too long for my use. Instead, I'll be using these rusty screws from my old camera installation. So yeah, you can mount the S40 wherever you want as long as you have good Wi-Fi coverage. Ironically, even though I can put it where I want, I'm going to put it exactly where my old camera was, right here above the garden door. Once you've mounted the camera and you're happy it's secure, just double check the app on your phone to make sure you have your camera angled and pointed in the direction you want. Now that the camera is mounted, here's some footage taken during the day.
Hey guys, it's 12:42 and this is as bright as it gets at this time, around this time of year. So yeah, we're not really testing the HDR capabilities of this camera. You know, some cameras tend to struggle when it's really bright, so there's no way of testing that at the moment. Regardless, this is as bright as it's going to get, so let me know what you guys think of the quality. Of course, the audio that you're listening to is also being recorded via the Solocam S40, so let me know how that sounds.
As mentioned already, this footage was recorded around midday. It's not as bright outside as I would have liked it to be, so there's no way to see how well it performs in harsh sunlight, but as it is, the video quality is really good. Everything is clear, as it's in 2K. There's a lot of detail, everything looks crisp and sharp. I've not really got anything to complain about here. The audio also sounds great for a security camera. It's probably the best I've heard from a security camera. It's very clear without distortion, so thumbs up for that. Now, moving on to nighttime footage.
So it's exactly 5:30 PM and this is as dark as it gets for now. This is of course in black and white night vision. Let me know what you guys think of the quality in night vision mode. Of course, like I said, everything's going to be in black and white, and if you did want it in color, you'd have to put the spotlight on.
With night vision on, the footage is obviously going to be in black and white. It's not going to win any prizes in this mode. Quality is decent and as good as you'd expect it to be. Let's move on to night vision with the spotlight on.
So this is spotlight night vision. It's pretty much bright enough to light up the whole garden. It's not so bright that it's going to blind anyone, but it's certainly bright enough to deter any would-be intruders. Let me know what you guys think.
At 600 lumens, the spotlight is bright enough to light up the whole garden. This mode is clearly superior to the standard infrared night vision you saw earlier. Everything is so much clearer. It's of course in colour. My face is clear and recognisable, if you know me that is. But yeah, it looks great in my opinion. Obviously using this mode will drain the battery more quickly, so do bear that in mind. When the Solocam S40 detects motion, it will send a notification to your phone. It's not instantaneous, as you'll see shortly in this video. It takes about 10 seconds, which is still pretty good if not amazing. I do wish it was a little faster. It could be worse, but with that said, the S40 does start recording before you get the notification, so you won't miss anything important when you tap on the notification to watch the event itself. The great thing is motion detection is really good. Unlike other cameras I've used, it's not triggered by moving leaves in the wind or my neighbour's cat, and that's because human and face detection works exceptionally well. That's something really important for a camera like this if you don't want falsely triggered recording to drain your battery. Of course, much like most smart security cameras, the S40 works with both Alexa and Google Home. Simply asking my Nest Hub to show me the backyard camera starts the feed. Show me the backyard camera.
Okay, streaming the backyard on office display.
You won't be able to view the feed directly from the Google Home app itself, but it does work with Chromecast enabled devices very well. So far from what I can see, the camera is losing power by about 1% a day. That's when it's just idle and not really being triggered. Like I said earlier, around this time of the year, no one really sits outside and the kids don't really use the garden. But when I came out to test the camera and the motion detection started recording video, I did notice that the camera lost between 2 to 3% of power. So I can definitely see the camera draining more quickly in the summer when there's more movement in the garden. Now, what's supposed to offset this power drain is the solar panel on top of the camera. Unfortunately, as you can see, during the time I've been using this camera, it has only ever charged once via solar for a total of 1.5 hours, and it topped it up by only 7 mAh. Since the S40 has a 13,400 mAh battery, 7 mAh is only 0.052%, so that's not great by any standard. Now, to be fair to Eufy, around this time of year we don't get much sun, it's usually cloudy, and of course the days are much shorter, so I sort of expected this. I was hoping to at least see a noticeable increase in power via solar charging, so I'm still a little disappointed, but Eufy does state that the camera needs direct sunlight to charge. I can only hope it does better when summer approaches and we get more sun, but for now, based on the rate of discharge, I suspect I'll have to take it off the mount and charge it in about 3 months, which isn't that bad. The Eufy app will show you a thumbnail from all your Eufy cameras. Tapping on one will take you to the live feed itself. The camera doesn't continually record video, it will only record when it detects motion. However, if you want to record video manually, you can press the record button on the bottom left and it will start recording. In this mode, it appears you're able to record indefinitely, but bear in mind that viewing the camera and recording for a long time will obviously chew through the battery. When you stop recording, it will save directly to your phone as opposed to locally on the camera. The scissor icon saves a picture to your phone. It's not what I expected would happen pressing that button. Maybe a camera icon would have been a better indicator in this case, but once you know what it does, you know what it does, unless you have really bad memory. Now, here's a button that won't confuse you. Pressing and holding it enables two-way communication. The next button enables and disables mute, and the icon with 3 lines in the bottom right gives you some more options. Tapping the clock light button takes you to all your motion detection footage that's stored locally on the camera. Tapping on a thumbnail will play that video directly from the camera, so once again, bear in mind that this will use up battery on your camera. If you want to view the footage more than once, just tap the download button and it should save to your phone, although it is a bit buggy at times and fails to download, as you saw right here. I find it works best if you pause the video first before tapping download, but even then it does take a while to finish downloading. From this screen you can share the footage, you can even give Eufy permission to use the clip for whatever reason, beats me, but to each their own. And finally, you can delete the footage from here forever if you want to free up storage, which you can also do from this screen too. Easy if you want to select multiple clips to delete. You can select the night mode you want here, so IR LED and spotlight turned off, IR LED on and spotlight on. You can trigger the alarm, the light, or both together manually. Finally, you're able to go into the settings for the camera from here. It's not the only way to get there, but in this screen you've got lots of things you can change or set. I'm not going to go through all of them, but a few important examples are: you can adjust the brightness of the spotlight and its color temperature, you can adjust the motion detection sensitivity, and you can set up 2 activity zones, so you are limited to just 2 activity zones. Another important feature is the ability to share specific cameras. You might not think that's noteworthy, but trust me, it's important. Unlike other cameras I've used from a company called Nest, I'm not hating on them by the way, I use multiple Nest cameras across my house, but Nest doesn't allow you to share individual cameras. Instead, it will share all your cameras in the house, which completely baffles me. Well, you can choose the camera you want to share with Eufy, and you might not appreciate the importance of that right now, but I promise you will at some point. To conclude, video quality from the Solocam S40 is really good. It's very clear in both day and night. The spotlight is great, it means you get high quality footage even when it's very dark. Motion detection works really well because you don't get false triggers from things being blown around by the wind. All of the footage lives on the camera, so you're not forced into paying for a subscription. That's really good, but the downside to that, of course, is if someone decides to steal the camera, your footage will be gone with the camera too. The advantage of having a battery powered camera is of course flexibility. There's no cables to run. Installation couldn't get much easier than this. There is a compromise you'll have to make because of that. There's no continuous recording. It will only record a max 120 seconds of footage each time it detects someone. Obviously that's by design, otherwise the battery wouldn't last beyond a couple of days. The main selling point for the S40 is of course the integrated solar panel. In theory that sounds great, but practically, living in London with a lot of cloudy days, and especially this time of year, the solar panel barely charged the camera. In the 3 weeks I've been using the S40, I've only had 1.5 hours in total of solar charging. That charged the camera by only 0.052%, which is pretty much negligible. So yeah, I'm a little disappointed with that, but in all honesty, that's not the fault of the camera, it's just the UK weather. I do hope it actually works better in the summer. At 200 quid, it's by no means the cheapest option, but if you do get a lot of sunshine, or at least 2 hours of direct sunlight every day, it should never run out of juice. In which case, this camera is, or it should be, worth the upfront cost. If you're interested, I've placed links to the product page in the description below. This has been Raju Rahman from Tectonic. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and it helped you, please subscribe and like. That would really help me out. And don't forget to check out these other videos too.